To make them think that it's reality.
Well, dreams, they feel real while we're in them, right? It's only when we wake up that we realize something is actually strange.
Welcome in, everybody. It's so hard to be quiet. So we've talked about this before, but just for editing purposes.
What happened?
We always have to have 10 seconds of silence before we hit. I mean, you're already recording. So we're already recording, but we have to do 10 seconds of silence, so that it makes it easier on the editing stuff.
So I can remove background noise.
So we're always just like quiet. It's like hard to not breathe, not do anything. And like right before we started, like my stomach just goes.
See, at first I thought, because I was like this with my eyes closed, because I found for some reason if I close my eyes, it can be quieter. And I thought you farted. And that's why I was like, looked up, I was like, what the? And then you're like pointing at your stomach.
Yeah, it's my stomach, totally. I mean, I'm sure it's preparing for one of those, but anyway, yes, thank you. Welcome into another Dream-isode with the QCO podcast. Your host, Danny, Travis, and Alan, here to read you some good stuff from Danny's subconscious. So at least we hope it's good. There are always they're always entertaining. Some are not
more
as good
than others. I mean, I'll give you guys a little hint at today's dream. I would classify this one as falling in more of the epic tale category.
Okay. Which is usually in the upper echelon of his dreams. So, well, let's not dilly-dally here because I can feel that this has some heft to it. So let's...
So for those of you guys who listen to all of our episodes, I'm sure that's the first time you've heard Trav say this one has some heft to it.
It's got some heft.
He'll either say it's got heft or it's a thick bitch.
Yep, so...
It's one of those two.
And just off the first glance...
I don't condone that word, thick.
Okay.
Does that make you feel self-conscious?
It's just a joke.
Rude. But at first glance here, I haven't even looked at the title.
Danny takes a joke that I say and just ruins it.
I know.
And then he makes jokes himself
that are good.
That are just already ruined. So your plus-minus ratio on jokes is like minus.
Okay, I have the perfect idea. Okay,
if we go through golf rules, I'm doing awesome.
Whenever we are done with this, or maybe, and when I say this, I mean like the podcast. Like if we get to a point where we're just like, okay, we're done, or whatever, or maybe just sometime in the future, down the line, we need to create a compilation. This is going to involve a lot of work because we're going to have to listen to like all of our episodes. But a compilation of just all of Danny's jokes.
That would be like probably tagged with like an illegal sticker because it would not be safe for people to listen to that much comedy in one stint. Like
I would probably play that to get my kids to go to sleep. All right, kids. Just gonna turn on some Danny jokes.
How long do you think this compilation would be?
I'd say at least a good 4 or 5 hours. I mean, that's just if we're taking not even like
what
the
we
conversation
have so far,
after it.
I would say that we have probably, I would say it was probably dang near 100 hours of actual content on the Q Code podcast, wouldn't you?
Yeah. How many, what are we at? Like episode, if you count, we're at like 59 or 58 of our...
No. At the time of this one being released, I think we'll be like at 64.
So yeah, probably 100 hours plus.
Yeah. So that's going to be a lot of listening to get all the good jokes out.
Yep. But it might be worth it. It would be one of those things that
It just keeps
they're
cutting,
not
just cut,
funny
cut,
at the
cut,
time
cut,
that you
cut.
say them, but if we compile them all together, they're going to be hilarious.
Especially like out of context. It's just my
Definitely.
joke.
It would be. It would be because I think that's what it is. Because I think your jokes just come out of context, like, or not. I mean, not out of context. You're trying to make them in context, but they just don't fit. But the fact that now we're listening to them and we just have no,
All it is just like 4-second spurts of me saying something.
that would be funny.
Actually,
I want to do this,
it would
and I'm
be
sorry, Alan.
entertaining.
You're the one that has to put it together, but I want to do this. So, all right. As we jump into this, glancing at it, I haven't even seen the title, but I can tell you that there is a preface, which we all like his prefaces.
You only know that because I do my prefaces in italics.
Yeah, they're italicized. So here we go. What number is this?
29.
29.
It's on the
I know, but
paper
I
in
didn't
front
want to
of
look
you.
at the
yeah,
title.
Fair enough.
So 29.
Number 20.
Okay.
German accents come up on this show more than any other accents I've decided. I think first it's German for Trav, and then it's Mexican.
Southern.
Are you saying for me?
Yeah.
What does it come out? Yeah, maybe.
I would say Southern comes
Southern
out.
comes
Yeah,
out.
Southern.
British.
British, yep.
Those are kind of like my go-tos.
Probably the few and far between are like Australian. But Austrian comes up sometimes because he does Arnold Schwarzenegger. Sometimes.
true.
He tries to do Japanese.
I have a hard time with Japanese. I think it's because deep down I think your mom's listening and that I'm really offending her. So
Oh, somehow it came out to my mom that we talked about on a previous Dream-isode, the fact that she would crease our eyes with her long
she hear about that?
fingernail. And so I said, well, Mom, for real though, why? Why did you do that? And she says, Danny, I don't know. So even from the source herself, and then my wife Liz is like, well, did your mom do it to you or something? She's like, no. So somehow my mom just started this thing on her own, but doesn't know why. And did it. And then she was frustrated because she's like, why would you tell people that on your podcast? She's like, I can't believe it. I'm never going to listen to your podcast again. I'm like, have you ever listened to our podcast? Well, no. So we lost 0 listeners right there.
but we lost a possible future listener.
Well, it must have done something to you psychologically because you also had, I don't know if it's still a thing, but you had a thing where you would also like to put things in your eyes, like in your eye sockets. We had these little teacup poodles.
You need more explanation because it sounds like I'm just stabbing myself in the eye.
Well, it's just as weird.
Just enjoy stabbing
To
myself
us,
in the
it's just as
eye.
weird. We had these poodles, little teacup poodles, and he would take the paws and just put them over his eyes. And it was, if you didn't know what was going on, it looked like you were just stabbing yourself in the eyes with poodle paws.
Poodle paws.
And you would also grab Tracy's hand, wouldn't you?
I
Take
enjoy
Tracy's
the
hand.
feeling of coldness on my eyelids. And so, yes, poodle paws were usually cold.
All right. Well, you can tell your mom. I don't even remember why we talked about it, but for whatever reason, it came up, and something was said that made me remember that. So you can tell her I'm sorry, but these are things that have to be spoken of.
We need to stop these kind of acts from occurring.
No, I don't think we need to. For anything, I would laugh hysterically if she was still doing this to you. But and I encourage it. But it's just we needed to talk about it. So
No.
all right.
She really wasn't that mad because then she called me today and she's like, Danny, I just want you to know I told all of my coworkers about your podcast and I gave them your name cards.
You gave your mom. We do have business cards.
So thanks, Mom.
All right, here we go with the title, which is called My Freaking Evil Little Pony.
Those aren't hard words. my freaking evil little pony.
It wasn't even close. Okay, here's the preface. Once again, this dream requires a bit of a setup, as things may seem familiar but are in actuality quite different. This dream takes place in a time and place where interdimensional travel has been mastered. Didn't we just read a dream that had interdimensional travel?
Let me guess. This one involves a portal. You always have portals.
I forgot. Was that the one that was like in the basement?
Yeah, with like the
But you've had
crabs.
several portals, like the one where you. It was like you were looking at Kai, your son, and he had a chainsaw, and you were like yelling at him not to cut into the house, but he couldn't hear you because it wasn't you were looking through a window, you were actually through a portal.
Yeah, and then there was the portal that the catfish dragons would come through in my basement.
Okay.
That you always just kept forgetting about.
He's got a lot of portals. So, in fact, interdimensional travel has become a common occurrence as people can choose to vacation in other dimensions if they so choose. I, on the other hand, did not get the luxury of deciding which dimension to travel to. Instead, I was cast out of my original dimension and forced to live in this alternate dimension as punishment. The real kick to the gut is that I don't even know why I was banned from my own dimension. All I know is that I was, and I miss my friends and my family back home. I hope that someday I find a way to remove the ban and return to the dimension I was originally from.
Thanks for putting the emotion into it, Trav. It's hard to portray emotion through my words, you know.
Now to the story. As I said, I was cast out of my dimension and forced to live within this dimension for the time being. However, all in all, it wasn't so bad. The Earth, as a whole, wasn't so different from my own, and thus it wasn't like it was unlivable. However, there were some differences. One difference was Salt Lake City on this Earth happened to be a much larger metropolis than the Salt Lake City I knew back home. There are perhaps 1.5 million or so people living between Ogden and Provo on my Earth, but on this Earth there are roughly 20 million. Good heavens.
It's a big, bustling city.
Since the population is so much greater here, the downtown portion of this city is much larger and has many taller sky rises than I was accustomed to. Another slight deviation from the city I grew up in, and this one, was that I grew up in, and this one,
It's like a deviation between that one and this one.
yeah, was the fact that there was a large mountain located to the west of this Salt Lake City metropolis. A large highway was built on this mountain. A traveler driving... What?
So Antelope Island
the
grew.
difference... So in the one that you're living at now, there is no mountains out to the west.
No, there is a huge mountain to the west.
Here our huge mountain is to the east.
Yeah.
Well, we have mountains out to the west, too.
Yeah, but this one was like the mountain was set closer to the city, and it was just as big as the mountains on the east, if that makes sense. And then there was a highway on that mountain that went up and over.
So a large highway was built on this mountain. A traveler driving into the city would drive straight up the highway on the far side of the mountain and would eventually crest at the peak. He'd crest. Once they crossed this
Where
thresh...
else are you going to crest? You eventually crest midway through.
Good point. Touche.
Once they crossed this threshold, the great city of Salt Lake would appear over the horizon. They would then drive down the highway on a steep decline until they coasted into the city. However, driving a car on the highway is not the only option available. Located on the edges of the highway is a miniature version of the same highway.
You have many people or something that are using that?
It's so stupid.
It's not like a carpool lane or something like that.
That was so not funny until Travis said it.
Like, look out the window and you got like the mouse on the motorcycle just riding alongside of you. Hey.
Stuart Little, is that what his name is? What's
No,
that?
there's a book called The Mouse and the Motorcycle.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
Because when I dreamt it and read it, I was just like, yeah, there's just like this mini version. But it wasn't that funny. And then I was like, this miniature version.
The same highway, as well as a set of miniature train tracks. On these small roads and tracks are situated tiny cars, trucks, buses, and trains. These minuscule vehicles are perpetually just driving toward and away from the city, depending on the side of the road you are on. Hence, as a pedestrian, you are not required to walk, but instead are able to just put your feet on any combination of cars, trucks, buses, or trains and just ride into or out of the city.
Like there's roller skates or something?
Pretty much.
You just
Like
ride them.
a moving walkway. Just like, I'm going to ride apparently between this Ford Explorer and this Dodge Ram. Pickup. Somebody's driving this thing. It's like, she's like, honey, sorry. I told you not to take this highway. It's the only miniature highway. How else are we supposed to get out of the city? This is where the large people stand on us.
Do the little cars go just as fast as big cars?
No, they went a little slower, I would say. It would be unsafe if you were standing going like 70 miles per hour.
How long it would take to get out of the city. I'm sure the extra added like weight when you look at the ratio or what, I don't know, just it's got to be a tons of weight added to make it really slow. All right. This is where our story begins. I'm making my way back toward the alternate Salt Lake City as a pedestrian, so you're on the car.
You're riding the micro machines.
I look down at my feet just as we crest over the peak of the mountain road and see that I'm riding on a pair of trains that are chugging down the mini trek. I look up just as the beautiful city of Salt Lake appears over the horizon. I have to admit, as many times as I've come over this hill, I never do get tired of this particular view. As I stand there enjoying my ride toward the city, I find myself traveling behind an older, grumpy gentleman. I can hear him muttering to himself for quite some time and eventually feel obligated to check in on him and ensure that he is okay. Excuse me, sir, I say to the old man. I couldn't help but sense that you are not doing so well. Is everything okay? Or all right, is actually what you said. I just kind of made an assumption there. The old man turns around, grunts, and mumbles a bit. I can't understand a whole lot of what he's saying, but I am able to get the gist of it. Apparently, his wife has gone missing. Okay, I'd be grumpy too. You okay, sir? My wife is gone.
Well,
I don't know where she is.
I didn't get much of that, but
That's just
I
the,
get it.
I
So your
got
wife's
the
missing?
gist. Apparently his wife has gone missing. He tells me that she has disappeared, but that nobody will believe him or help him find her. I give the old man my condolences and try to comfort him the rest of the way into town. He's like hoping that his two cars can like drive up alongside of him so he can pat him on the back. He's like, "Excuse me, sir." Like, what happens if one car goes faster than the other? I don't think your subconscious thought this system out very well.
I don't know. Maybe that's why I chose the two trains that were on parallel tracks that were just going the same speed. So my ride was very comfortable.
Eventually, these little transportation devices we're standing on arrive at what can only be described as a Grand Central Station-looking hub. Both the older gentleman and myself exit the small road by removing ourselves from the tiny vehicles we're standing on. Okay, I'm sorry, I just have to ask.
What?
How often, just in real life, do you ever go to a train station? Because you visit them so many times in your dreams.
That's true. It is kind of a reoccurring theme.
He's always at a train station.
I mean, other than like the train, I hardly ever.
All right, I say my goodbye.
Tracks, I guess.
Yeah, I say my goodbyes to the man and wish him luck in finding his wife. I watch as he scoots off toward a bench located. Is he still on the cars? He's like, cars, over to the bench.
No,
Little
you have
mini-
to get off. The cars can only stay on the highway.
Okay.
And then they like in the
But where do
station,
these-
they turn around and then
Where
they
do
go
these
back out.
mini people go?
You guys,
I am really
you guys
concerned
just
about.
assume there was many people in them.
They're automated or automatic.
As far as I know, yeah, they were just like automatic like vehicles that were just going around this track in and out of the city.
So literally
just-
like micro machines.
It is kind of like picturing like, you know, Whoville, where there's like all just different sizes of who's. I watch as he scoots off toward a bench located in the center of the station. He is visibly upset and is now crying fairly hard. Once he reaches the bench, he sits down and continues to cry into his hands in a crouching position. I feel so bad for this old man and want nothing more than to help him find his missing wife. Suddenly, as I watched the old man, he slowly started to fade. After several seconds, he had completely disappeared. It was as if he had been erased from existence altogether. Ooh.
Scary.
Right in front of me. Unfortunately, he was not the first one I'd witnessed vanish like this. This whole fading into nothingness had become a citywide epidemic, and no one could identify why it was happening. It's called the nothingness, if you've ever watched The Neverending Story.
Oh. Wait, they faded into nothingness? Because I thought the nothingness was like an earthquake thing that just sucked you into the earth or something.
I don't remember. It's called the nothingness. I turn around with the intent of walking out of the Grand Central Station and into the city. However, I don't make it more than a few feet before I'm overcome with a strange sensation that almost knocks me off my feet. Everything around me goes dark and there is a sudden loud ringing in my ears. I'm not sure if I lost consciousness completely at any moment. Either way, it takes me several seconds to regain my balance and bearings. When things finally settle down enough for me to focus, I can see that everything around me looks just as it did before the weird sensation overcame my body. With one exception, everything around me was tinted with a darker shade than it was previously. Okay. It was as if...
So it was like red, but now it's like maroon. Or it was like light green, but now it's like dark green.
It was as if I was suddenly wearing a dark pair of sunglasses that I could not take off. I thought that this was the only difference until I noticed I could suddenly see a lot more people than I could before. The strange thing with all of these additional people, though, was that they were actively trying to engage with or converse with the people that were already there. Unfortunately, as much as they tried, they were unable to get any type of response from the others. This is the moment that I realized I had somehow acquired the ability to transition between the real world and the realm of the disappeared.
Ooh.
What is... Why isn't it not called the realm of the disappeared? Why is it called My Freaking Evil Little Pony?
Hey,
So-
how about you read the whole dream?
I
and
know.
then judge it afterwards.
So it's like when Frodo puts on the ring.
Yes. Ah.
Kind of, yeah. But people don't get the choice of just putting on a ring and being disappeared. They just disappear without their consent.
Well, sure, we've had first breakfast, but what about second breakfast? Does he know about 11Cs?
That was just what happens in the realm of the disappeared, is they had second breakfast.
Stupid habits as they stole it from us.
Wow, Trav, that was pretty good. We should do a whole episode on Gollum.
Gollum.
And then Trav will just have to do that voice the whole time.
Ironically, as I explored this newfound realm,
Can we read the rest of the dream as Gollum?
I'm going to be honest, that would be very, very difficult for me. I ran into an old coworker of mine from my original Earth. She had come to this dimension on vacation a while back, but had been one of the people who had vanished into thin air. Glad to see she was okay. I gave her a hug, and the two of us spent the next several minutes catching up. During this time, she explains to me that she has figured out why people were suddenly disappearing and ending up in this realm. She says it has to do with... Excuse me. She says it has to do with the amount of people on this earth who remember or are aware of who you are. Of who you are?
Yeah. So, like, if a lot of people know who you are or know of your existence, then you're fine. But on
So
this,
saying, like,
on this
if
particular,
people-
in this dimension on this planet.
Oh, so like if for whatever reason, like I didn't have any friends or family, like I'd disappear.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah, I know. I lived it, Trav.
Once the number of people who know you... Okay. Okay, I get it now. I was like, what? That just doesn't make sense. Once the number of people who know you dips too low, then you begin to fade away and end up in the realm of the disappeared. Once you're there, it doesn't mean you're dead. It just means that not many people on this planet are aware of your existence. For this reason, people who travel to this earth on vacation are extremely susceptible to disappearing, as they typically don't know many people on this planet before that get here other than those they traveled here with. You got that?
Is that my writing or
Yep,
just
no, that was your writing. As the two of us walk around the city and continue to converse, now people are just looking at you like a weirdo because you're talking to somebody who's disappeared.
Well, I think I was like now in that realm. So maybe I
Oh,
was,
so did you disappear?
so now I was like I have the ability to travel back and forth between like reality and the realm of the disappeared.
But why?
Realm
Nobody
of the
knows you
forgotten.
in that world.
Well, I've been there for a long time. I think I have lots of friends.
Okay. As the two of us walk around the city and continue to converse, she drops another bomb on me. She dropped a bomb on me, baby. She dropped a bomb on me. She tells me she has caught wind that an evil villain had found a way to escape from the realm of the disappeared and was in the midst of conjuring up a scheme to harm those in the real world, partially out of concern as to what this maniacal villain
Good
is
job,
planning, and partially because I didn't have much going on at the moment. He says, like, all right, I'll figure out this villain thing. I don't really got much going on. I decided we should take it upon ourselves to uncover what it was this fiend was plotting to do. After a little investigatory work, it doesn't take us long to figure out that this villain's master plan is to release a gas bomb inside a concert hall during a performance that was taking place that night.
Like poison gas or just any gas?
You'll see.
Oh, it's like fart gas.
He just farts.
The gas was specially engineered to turn anyone who breathed it into an evil, inflatable, My Little Pony looking creature.
See, I don't think it's my writing. I think you just pause at random moments and drag out my sentences into very long sentences. But into inflatable, evil, My Little Pony looking creature.
Okay, just bear with me, okay?
What's the kid's name on Malcolm in the Middle?
Stevie?
That has the hard time
Where he
talking.
has to breathe. Hi, I'm Steve.
Okay, bear with me with this, okay? So, the sentence is, turn anyone who breathed it into an evil, inflatable, My Little Pony. That should be it. But he has to throw, mind you, on a separate line, the words looking creature. Okay? Like, I understood you when you said that you turned into an evil, inflatable My Little Pony. Looking creature. Once we put the pieces of the puzzle together, my coworker's eyes grew extremely wide. Before I could ask her what was wrong, she blurted out, "My husband is attending that concert tonight." The two of us immediately sprang into action and ran toward the concert hall in hopes of stopping the villain before he could release the gas bomb. Unfortunately, we were too late. Just as we turned the corner onto the street the concert hall was located on, the front doors of the concert hall burst open, spilling hundreds of evil, inflatable My Little Ponies into the city.
It doesn't sound that bad right now, but in the dream, it was freaky.
These horrid little geldings seem to have zero fear as they immediately start to tackle and attack unsuspecting patrons who just so happen to be in the area. I turned to my friend and expressed my sorrow for the untimely, there we go, good heavens, for the untimely fate of her husband, but also explained to her that there is nothing we can do for him now. Thus,
Wait, so this is all still in the forgotten or the realm
disappeared,
of
the realm of the disappeared.
Well, I think
So they're gas bombing disappeared people or
no,
regular people?
He escaped the realm of the disappeared and into the real world, at which point he gassed everyone. By the time that I had run to the street, though, I must have just gone back to the real world, but because I was there. I must have been able to bring my friend with me.
Thus, the best thing we can do is take out as many of these colorful, puffy stallions before they hurt more people. I swiftly look around for a moment and spot just what we need to get the job done. I can see a pickup truck parked on the side of the road. This pickup has a wooden fence-like barrier built into the bed of the truck. You know, like the barriers you see on trucks that transports goats and ponies to kids' birthday parties. Anyway,
Does that give you a good visual?
inside this bed of this truck also happens to be a couple dart guns and a bunch of darts. I tell my coworker to hop into the cab of the truck and to start driving through the city. Meanwhile, I stood in the bed of the truck carrying the dart guns I found, shooting at every air-filled filly. Every air-filled filly I could see. These dart guns proved to be the perfect weapon for the situation, as the evil ponies would pop and explode on impact. I can't lie, as we made our way up and down the city streets, eradicating these evil steeds, I became quite the expert hunter. Of course he did.
Did you have a thesaurus for
How many
gelding?
How many ways you can say horse?
Steed,
Don't forget Philly.
Billy.
Just as we
I just happen to know a lot of names for horses.
just as we thought we were.
He's gonna at some point he's gonna say mare.
Oh yeah. Let's see.
Let's see if it happens.
Just as we thought we were getting the upper hand, a new problem began to develop.
Or a colt.
We were no longer only competing against a herd of wicked foals, but we're also having to deal with fat, slimy zombies. Oh. No way! Zombie freaking
Zombies back. Back
Number-
again.
Pandemic Part 3.
They even followed you to another
It's
dimension.
about zombies so much.
That's true. They're interstellar travel. They can now
Interdimensional
travel. They
But they have problems with rivers.
well, only in the second one. They were really good swimmers in the first one.
Where you forced a bunch of natives to push you in a canoe.
On a raft. Let's get it right, Alan.
Unfortunately, my dart gun proved to be ineffective against this newly acquired enemy. It's like, ouch. You shoot me. Again, we had
I would
no.
laugh if like the next big zombie movie that comes out, like that's how they're portrayed instead of like a classic.
You shot my leg. It can't be. He's like, oh, you shot my leg. Now I got a dead leg.
It's a regular dead comedian.
Get it?
Undead comedian. However you would say it.
Undead leg. Okay. Had no idea. Again, we had no idea how and where these chubby they're chubby?
Well, I said they were fat zombies.
Oh, those are like the worst.
Yeah.
These chubby zombies were coming from. So once again,
That means
I
they've
was
eaten a lot of people.
I was forced to put on my investigator hat and try to track the origin of these obese monsters. Luckily, I was able to work quickly and found that these overweight zombies were not caused by a single factor, but rather there were 3 ways in which one could turn into portly slobbering beast. If you If you are attacked and bitten by a fat zombie, you will shortly be a stout flesh-eating monster yourself. 2, there are a plethora of virus-infected kittens roaming around the city streets. If one of these little cats bites or scratches you, you will become a fat zombie. 3, if you are bitten by one of the evil inflatable ponies, your future is sealed to become a pudgy man-eating machine. Once I figured this out, there was no doubt. There was no doubt in my mind that the wretched villain is behind all of this.
You guys are so lucky that I'm such a good detective.
During our time driving around,
I don't get the kitten one. The cat.
that's just one of the many ways you could become a zombie.
It's so random. Nothing about cats earlier in the dream.
Apparently, this villain had infected a bunch of cats around the city before he had gone and done the gas bomb.
So during our time driving around the city, bursting blow-up ponies, we had attained a team of allies who joined us in our quest to exterminate the not-so-magical horses. What is your quest? To exterminate magical ponies? Okay. So once I had a grasp of what was going on with the addition of the fat zombies, I ordered them to all fall back toward the fairgrounds in hopes that we may get a chance to regroup and develop a new plan of attack. Of course, he is now the leader of the allies.
I didn't insert myself as a leader. I think they voted me as leader.
He's the AFAFZ, Allied Forces Against Fat Zombies. All right. Order them to all fall back to the fairgrounds. So once we make it into the fairgrounds, we find a maze made of large hay bales that I assume was left behind from the Halloween festivities. This hay bale maze worked out great for us, as it became a natural barrier from the unknowns that were currently roaming around the city.
Did I not put an N?
Yep. I took my coworker into the center of the maze to discuss our plan moving forward. However, once we were at the center of the maze, we found 2 small kittens curled up sleeping on a pile of loose hay. So I don't think that this is really a good place to convene. You're in a maze. Literally, things could be hiding anywhere.
Yes, duly noted. That's a good point now. I could see that.
My coworker instinctively bent down to pet these cute kitties. But before she could touch them, I quickly grabbed her arm and pulled it back. Why would you do that? She asked me. I tell her to be quiet, as I thought I heard something coming toward us. I slowly crouched down as if I were getting ready to do a push-up. so that I could see through a thin strip of clear plastic that had been placed at the base of the hay bales. This allowed me to peer at the surroundings outside of our hay bale fortress. I could see the hooves of a purple pony trotting along the outer walls of the maze, looking for its next victim. It's just like... Who's my next victim? Peach Pit, let's go. Peach Pit pony.
Which one is the purple one again?
I don't know. Starlight,
Twilight Sparkle.
Sparkles.
That's right. Starlight, Twilight.
Okay. I have definitely lost my train of thought here, or where I was. All right. Trying to break. Okay. I tried to get her. Well, whoa. Okay, it's next victim. By this point, my coworker had also gotten down to the ground level and recognized that this particular pony was once her husband. This caused her to gasp uncontrollably. She's like, so many gasps. I tried to calm her down before the pony heard us, but it was too late. The pony had already become aware of our presence and began charging the outer walls of the maze. It is a blow-up pony, right?
It's inflatable, yes.
How much power can it actually... I mean, these are hay bale walls. I mean, I know they're not brick, but... I mean, come on. Those things are heavy.
Basically, a balloon trying
A
to
balloon
plow through
is
a wall.
trying to push a bunch of prickery hay bales.
I think I acknowledge that here.
The pony had already become aware of our presence and began charging the outer walls of the maze, trying to break through so that it could attack us. Luckily, the pony is inflatable and thus has very little mass. Try as he might, he was having very little, if any, impact on that hay bale structure. We then turned around to warn the others of the pony that was current outside. But as we began to leave the center of the maze, we realized that we weren't as safe as we... No, duh. We weren't as safe as we had thought we were. The two kittens had been sound asleep on the hay a moment ago. Were now wide awake and hissing at us. The two felines slowly started prowling toward us. I screamed to my coworker to run! As these cats were infected with the virus. The two of us then bolted as fast as we could through the maze toward the area in which the others were presently located. As I emerged from the maze, I tell my men that we need to catch the possessed kittens before they hurt anyone. We all then put on some heavy-duty workman-like gloves and prepare ourselves to catch the cats once they too emerge from the maze. Sure enough, moments later, the two tiny mousers lunged out of the maze, screeching and clawing at us. After a few attempts, I am able to catch one of the kittens, while one of the other guys is able to capture the other. The two cats fight and wriggle and around in our hands, trying to escape their oppressors. But they are no match for the strength of full-grown men. I tell everyone that we must kill these cute little creatures before they are able to infect anyone. Nobody, including myself, really wants to do this.
At that point, they blink at you like,
But we all know.
wanna kill us.
We all know what must be done. I imagine this is like the point Danny was like, Johnson, you do this.
I'll turn my back.
But wait, this is too difficult for me. I then tell the man who had the other kitten to swing the cat like a baseball bat. Swing the cat like a baseball bat and smack it into any hard, solid object he can find. This way we can put the kittens out of their misery as quickly and painlessly as possible. I feel like this is the most painful way.
Were they miserable? Put them out of their misery. I don't know if they were miserable.
I know. I don't think they were miserable. They were trying
just a threat to you.
Yeah. What I originally believed would be a swift process has proven to be much more difficult than I had originally anticipated. Each time we swing the cats into an object, they stiffen up, resulting in two of us feeling like we're smacking lead pipes into steel poles. It has become apparent that these felines are invincible. Like swinging them, they're like, just tense up. If you tense up, it doesn't hurt that bad.
It's like, what kind of sick crap do you dream of?
Maybe that was the way my subconscious is like, you really can't kill kittens. That's not nice.
I'm going to give your kittens a way to be invincible. I then hand the kitten I'm holding to another man and tell them to hold the kittens down while I examine them in hopes of finding a way to put them down for good. Are you a doctor?
I don't know. I was very talented in this dream.
After a quick
I was
inspection.
detective, I was a leader. I was a hunter.
Your inspection is tail. Pause. Those seem invincible too.
This cat's got ears. I think he can hear us. After a quick inspection, I find that each kitten has a plastic zip tie attached to one of its legs. I realize that these zip ties are what is causing the cats to be infected and thus making them invincible. I order my men to remove the zip ties from the kittens so that I may cut them up into little pieces. Well, won't they just become regular cats, you sadistic bastard?
That's what was infecting them. If you remove the infection.
You guys are misreading it. So I could cut the zip ties up.
I was gonna be like, you
Oh,
are
they're fine. Cut them up.
Like, get rid of the thing that makes them infected. This way I can kill them easier. We're going to chop them up into little pieces.
You sick bastard. It's like, that's when I lost the support of my men.
For several minutes, I sit there trying to cut the zip ties in half. I use knives, clippers, scissors,
Why
and
do you have to cut them up into tiny pieces? The zip
no,
ties.
why can't you just cut it off? If you cut them up into little pieces, they lose their power.
Did Steve show up with some dinner plates and a steak knife, and you guys just cutting them up with steak knives?
I didn't have the luxury of steak knives at this point, so...
For several minutes, I sit there trying to cut the zip ties in half. I use knives, clippers, scissors, and anything else I can think of that could possibly cut through these plastic rings. Yet, no matter what I do, I can't seem to even make a dent on these flimsy objects. It's at that moment an old saying I was taught as a kid popped into my mind. You must fight fire with fire.
Wait, so are they still on the kittens?
No, like, they could come off the kittens, but as long as they were intact, they still...
Okay.
Work.
So you didn't have to cut them off the kittens.
No, they just removed them from the kittens, but now I'm working on trying to cut them. so that it breaks the virus issue.
So he realizes he must fight fire with fire. So basically, he's going to attack it with plastic. I remember. Then a stroke of genius hits me, like a ton of bricks. I then walk over to the table nearby and pick up a plasticware knife and begin to cut away at the zip ties once again. This time, my new tool of choice works like a charm, and the plastic blade cuts right through them like a hot knife through butter. As soon as the zip ties had been cut up, both kittens immediately reverted back to their original cuddly selves and began purring and rubbing up against everyone in the room. Now that this crisis was over, I decided it was
Danny's
time.
like, don't believe him, it's a trick!
Seriously, guys, I know we think it's over, but the only way to avoid this is to murder the kittens. Now that the crisis is over, I decide it was time to go to my brother Alan's house to check up on him. I know. What is my brother doing in this dimension? The answer is, I have no idea. But it was just completely normal at this moment of the dream.
Maybe it was the version of me in that dimension.
Maybe. Or maybe you were also banned there. I forgot about it all this time.
Anyway, I wanted to check in on him to ensure that he was okay, since we had just dealt with an evil pony. Oh, that was not a period. That we had just dealt with an evil pony, infected cat, and fat zombie problem. I arrive at his house and knock on the door for a bit, but there is no answer. See, that's normal, though. However, oh wait, there is no answer. I slowly push the door open to see if I can find him sitting somewhere within the home. However, the first thing I notice when opening the door is the slight resistance that a handful of trash causes from the friction between it and the carpeted floor. As I push my way in, I can see that the entire home is a pigsty. Everything appears to be in disarray. Garbage is all over the floor, furniture is knocked over, etc. The sight of this home has me fearing the worst. Has he been attacked? Or worse, infected?
Uh-oh. What's it gonna be, McFly?
I slowly raise my dart gun. You still have a dart gun?
It's my weapon of choice.
I'm not gonna wait. Never mind.
I slowly raise my dart gun and quietly begin to make my way through his home, clearing each room at a time. He's like, clear. Just by himself.
Each room one at a time? Is that what I said? Or just at a time?
Clearing each room one at a time.
Oh. You originally said clearing each room at a time.
I beg to differ. As I make my way toward the master bedroom, I begin to hear some sounds emanating from that direction. I approach the master bedroom door as if I were SWAT, approaching an unknown potential terrorist situation. Once at the door, I can see that it is ajar. A crack.
It's nice. Like he was open a little.
A jar is a crack. Yeah. You know,
The jar was open. Meant open.
a little.
Yeah, oh, I didn't know that. It was all in one inclusive word.
Once at the door, I can see that it is ajar, a crack. I gradually peek around the corner and peer into the master bedroom, hoping to find an unharmed Alan. Instead, I see nothing. It's at about that moment that I could hear a bang and a clang from the ensuite bathroom.
From what?
Ensuite?
That's like the master bedroom bathroom.
Oh.
They call it ensuite because it's like on the suite.
Oh, okay. Then, without warning, Alan crashes through the bathroom door and stumbles out into the master bedroom. He looks up just long enough to see my face peering in at him from the hall. He then begins to yell at me, Get out of here! He screams, I've been infected, and I'm trying to get to a fat zombie. Leave before it's too late. I look at him a bit closer and can see that he has gained some weight and is looking a bit pudgier than before. However, at the same time, I could not make out any sores or slimy pus anywhere on his body.
Hygienic zombie.
Every chubby zombie I'd seen up to this point had been covered in sores and pus. After another few seconds of examining the situation, I concluded that Alan had not been infected at all. Perhaps had put on a few extra lbs. But that was about the extent of it. I began trying to talk Alan down from his frenzy so that I could explain to him that he was fine. But this is when I woke up. Alan, you're fine. You've just got an eating problem. You're not a zombie. A fat man doth not make a zombie.
He's very animated. He's like, I'm like, Alan, it's fine. It's fine.
You got Cheetos? All right. Well,
Another epic tale.
my freaking evil little pony
So, see, isn't that a good name?
is, but I still like the realm of the disappeared.
It just sounds cooler.
It does. That sounds cool.
At the beginning with like the mini highway and the little cars, I was going to be like, this should have been the future of transportation is here.
I wonder what people think when they get to the end of that dream and they're just like, caterpillar? That was the future?
So weird. This was a good one. I enjoyed it.
I'm glad, Trav.
It
I
was.
think you really just enjoy the zombie one.
I love the zombie ones, but I love the fact that you are continuously dreaming about zombies.
Yes, if you look at it, this is what, number 29?
Mm-hmm. Well, 3 out of 29 ain't bad.
Yeah. So I'm saying it's like it's a solid
1 every 10.
10%.
about. Yeah. Good. All right. Well, thanks, guys, for listening. As always, if you liked it, please go on and give us a review. Comment, leave us a message. Go to our website at qcopodcast.com or visit us at on our social media pages, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, QCO Podcast. But yeah, we just a reminder, we do this every Monday, and our regular episodes release every Friday. So check us out. Thanks again, guys, for listening, and we'll catch you next week.